Coming to you from Crash Studios in Music City, USA, Nashville. This is the Rich Redmond Show. On this episode, Nashville musician, songwriter, and entertainer, Joe Turley. And now, Rich Redmond.
What is up, everyone? Rich Redmond here. You're tuning into another exciting episode of the Rich Redmond Show, coming to you from Nippers Corner, Brantioch, America. As always, I have my co-host and co-producer Jim McCarthy with me. How you doing, pal?
Doing very well,
We're
sir.
having a great day. People are always saying, like, Rich, how do you get so many episodes done? You're like always on the road. I say, we do 3, 4, 5 episodes a day when I'm in town.
Exactly.
And
this magic.
This would never happen without you.
And the School of Rock.
And the School of Rock, our amazing sponsor, Angie and Kelly McCright, the School of Rock. But I got to tell you, I'm always excited about our guests. But today's guest,
you're really excited about,
he is a staple of the Nashville music industry for several decades. He's a dear friend. He's the first guy to take a chance on me. He's a singer. He's a songwriter. He's a multi-instrumentalist. Mr. Joe Turley. Yeah. How are you, bud?
I'm doing great.
Good to see you, man.
Great to see you.
It is a real thrill to have you here at Crash Studio, because when I moved to Nashville in 1997, I was out shaking hands, crashing parties, trying to play music with people. And you were one of the first guys to take a chance on me. You said, yeah, kid, come on down. And, here's a tape, a cassette. You gave me a cassette of your music. And your music is, there's influences of folk, Americana, blues, jazz, big band. And I ended up, thanks to you, you invited me to play on 3 of your records over the years. Yep. One of which is called When the Jitterbug Bites. And my dad, he's always asking about you. We always play it every Christmas. I'll get together and I'll see my dad, because there's like a lot of Gene Krupa stuff in there, and my dad is a sucker for the big band. He goes, how's that Joe Turley, man? I love his music. Is he touring with that band? And I said, Dad, do you know how expensive it is to get 17 people out on the road and get them hotel rooms and all that? But we can talk about all that stuff. But I was just so excited to maybe go down memory lane with you today and talk about your career as a singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, because you play saxophone, guitar, harmonica, and keyboards. And every time that you and I would go and do a gig together, you would have so much stuff to set up. You'd be like still setting up until like seconds before the downbeat.
It's part of the job when you're doing that.
Totally. And so you're kind of like a blues man. You've always had that kind of running in your veins. Tell us a little bit about how that all, how did you discover this love of this music, and how did you get into playing music?
That's a great question. And I love answering it because it makes me remember some really fun, magical times in my life where
you're from Lexington, Kentucky.
I'm from Lexington, Kentucky.
Yeah.
And my mom is a singer, piano player. My grandfather, Daddy Red, was a piano player, singer, had a saxophone, played saxophone.
You still have his sax?
He had harmonicas, and he had all kinds of instruments.
Don't you still play his sax?
I do. I still use his alto sax. Yeah. Well, it's an old con, gold-plated con.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I was exposed to a lot of different kinds of styles of music because my dad was into Hank Williams and Ernest Tubb and Johnny Cash, which I love all those artists.
Right.
I really do. My mom was more into the big band kind of stuff, and as well as my grandfather.
Yeah.
But that stuff was a little too, I'm just going to say it was a little too white for me.
Right.
And in a lot of ways, a little too
sweetie
pie.
The Glenn Miller, Tommy Dorsey
stuff. You know, because I was also, exposed to during the 60s, before rock and roll really slammed hard. Yeah. There was a lot of R&B and soul music that I was way into. Otis Redding, for instance.
Dock of the Bay, all that.
And the real early Stones, that was all blues.
Early,
Yeah, bluesy rock. So I remember I was in my basement in Lexington, and it must have been somebody on the radio, and I believe it was Little Walter came through the radio playing blues harp, and it was electrified. And I couldn't figure out what it was at first. It almost sounded like a trumpet. And it was so, whatever it did to me, it was like a key that opened a doorway for me that said, this is where you want to go. You got to get that sound.
Right.
And it was so soulful and so not necessarily correct, but perfect with the feeling of what it was. And it was all bluesy stuff, you know,
Right.
Little Walter. And then I remember Sonny Boy Williamson, who played a little more acoustic-oriented harp.
Right.
And he did a version of Bye Bye Birdie, which is harmonica solo, and it was real low, and it was a diatonic harmonica, but it still had some low. It was like a 12-hole diatonic, which was lower. It has an extra octave down there, or an extra 3 notes. Anyway, is this all right?
It's like a
It's like a chicken breast away from it.
Yeah, like, I mean, well, actually,
Like
you
a
know
fist
what?
away from it.
Actually, I can explain. I can play it better than I can say
Oh
it,
my
but
God!
Look at this.
like
Joe was
this-
whipping out a harmonica.
You don't hear this low sound on harps usually, but it's like,
Oh, wow. That is awesome.
then you can bring it way up here, you know.
And it's such a portable instrument.
Yeah, and it's a portable instrument.
Yeah.
But anyway, I heard that sound again, and that was it, harmonica. So that's the first instrument I really gave my heart and soul to and practiced a lot. By that time, I was about 13, and I went away to military school.
Oh.
And there was a guy down there who was in the drum and bugle corps, which I was in too. And he played great harmonica, and we got together. And so
What'd you play in the drum and bugle corps? Was it
both.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Drums and bugle.
Really?
I started out as a trumpet player.
Okay.
In grade school. Well, actually, I started with piano lessons, which I hated. I just had a teacher that was giving me all the normal, you know, Mary Had a Little Lamb stuff.
Scales and
The
stuff
only
like
thing
that.
I learned was this Indian song, which was like doon 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 doon, which was really close to boogie woogie. Actually,
Right.
that's the only thing I really got in. She put my hands on the keys, and I would just be dreaming about playing baseball, you know. But anyway, the harmonica thing is really what got me going musically. And then by the time I was 13, there was such a musical revolution in our country with
The Beatles.
British invasion of music was just coming on. And that was
1964 was the
Yeah,
Ed Sullivan show.
yeah.
Did you watch
Right.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was just 8 or 9 maybe, but I remember that stuff, and it was so exciting. And then I was not in the mainstream with music, loving blues like that, because I went headlong into it. The very first album I got was Robert Johnson, King of the Delta Blues.
Wow.
If you know that record, he's just on there solo, playing guitar and singing and
Probably
slide guitar,
one mic.
but it's amazing.
Right.
And so I was stuck in that land and loved it. And all the offshoots, because, you know, Otis Redding comes from that land too.
Yeah.
And Sam and Dave and all those guys. And then when the Stones came along and a little bit later on, Eric Clapton came along with John Mayall and the Blues Brothers playing blues. And
Yeah, rock and roll is a very Southern thing.
it is.
It really is.
And then, you know, here comes Wet Willie later on.
Yeah.
And with Jimmy Hall, who's here in town, who's one of my favorites.
The Prisoners of Love.
Yeah.
Are they still playing out, The Prisoners of Love? Yeah.
Well, occasionally. I saw him.
And Jimmy Hall is on that record that we did together, right? The Jitterbug?
Nope, he's
No?
not on there.
He's not on there?
No, I'm just a fan of his.
I'm just thinking.
I love his voice.
There's a multi-instrumentalist?
Jim Hoke.
Jim Hoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He came and he actually arranged the horn parts on When the Jitterbug Bites on that particular song. And another guy named Jim Williamson was the guy that was
Trumpet player.
co-arranger for most of that stuff and actually wrote out some of the horn solis that are on there.
Right.
Like on Like I Do, for instance, that's all his thing. I'd sing it to him, basically.
You would sing it, and then
most of the
they
time.
kind of
he'd transcribe
arranged
it for him. Even though I can write it, I'm not truly a horn arranger, and so Jim is. So
Can I share Like I Do with our audience?
yeah,
I would like to hear that.
Absolutely.
Check this out.
It's a fun song.
And this is from the 1998-99 release.
Yeah.
Around that time.
Yeah.
And if you guys go to joeturley.com, you can hear this music. And if you look up Joe Turley on Spotify, you can hear this. This is fun.
It really is.
Like I do, 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 like I do. Nobody loves you like I do, like I do. Nobody needs you like I do.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nobody wants
You?
you like I do,
Yeah, that's it.
like I do. Nobody loves you like I do. You could go off searching all around the world, but you could never find a love like mine. From Tokyo to Tupelo, east, west, high and low, I'm your biggest fan. Give me a chance, let me prove I am. Nobody loves you like I do.
That is beautiful, Joe.
You know, the thing that I love listening to this is the fact that nobody knows you can play like this. You know what I mean? It's so refreshing. You know, to
That is
hear.
so well. Thank you. But now look at this. Ging, ging, ga, ding.
Yeah.
I have 129 to 229 on here. This is like my favorite part of the song. Okay, mute it right now here, Jim. That's the beginning.
Right.
How do I find the?
Oh, the play bar?
Yeah, the play bar.
Scroll up.
Oh, yes. Technology.
I love that.
129. Oh my God. Does this feel good to go down memory lane, Joe?
Oh, it feels great.
Memory lane. Let's go back.
All right, that's excellent.
Man, that syncopation drives me
Here you go, Rich.
This is for my dad.
crazy. Come on.
Dad loves that.
Party time. That's Daddy Red saxophone.
It's just a party in your speakers, man, right there.
Wow.
Love it. Nice.
Wow. Wow. That was like coming, there was like a little snapshot of time in the music business where there was the Royal Crown Review.
That's right.
And Cherry Poppin' Daddies.
That's right.
There was that movie
Brian
Swingers.
Setzer. Right.
Switch-
Yeah.
And Setzer's still doing it. And my friend, he used to play drums in the Royal Crown Review. There was that little snapshot of time where it's like there was a resurgence of this music, and we were all wearing zoot suits, and people were learning to swing dance
That's right.
again.
That's
but
right.
that is just a great sounding record, Joe.
That's very tight.
Oh.
Man, thank you so much.
And we recorded that over at Johnny Neal's house, right?
We did.
Yeah.
Johnny Neal had a studio in his basement. Dennis Gully was the
engineer. Right.
And great players.
Are those
Charlie Chadwick? Remember? Played
I haven't
upright
seen
bass.
And then after
He's a master.
I met Charlie, and then we ended up doing the Pam Tillis job together. We ended up
Oh, I didn't know that.
we toured with
Really?
Pam Tillis together. Isn't that
I
crazy?
didn't know that. That's way cool.
And you had your time in as a sideman here in Nashville. I looked you up your credits, and it was like you said you toured with Dolly Parton and Leon Russell and Edgar Winter and Waylon Jennings and the Sweethearts of the Rodeo, Dr. Hook. That's so funny. Because I never picture you as a sideman. I always picture you as this recording artist, like calling the shots.
Oh, good.
You know? So what was your experience like? How did that all happen? Your journey to Nashville? Because you spent time at Berkeley too, right? Getting an education.
I
and then-
did. Yeah.
What was that all about? That timeline?
Well, it was all part of the realization that you have to be able to make a living playing music.
Sure.
And I didn't want to have some other side career going on. Like a lot of successful people and people getting into the music industry, you know, you really need to have some kind of financial basis where you can not go crazy.
Yeah.
Wait until
Like
the
real
next
estate.
$45 gig downtown or something.
Real estate,
Have a little bit
Whatever
of a pile
you
of
can do.
own a coffee shop, something.
I just felt like, okay, if I'm gonna try and write songs and make my career doing that, I'm not gonna get paid doing that right away. So I better become good enough at music, at the craft, which will turn me into a better writer if I can play better, and just sort of farm myself out for a while and learn other people's shows, learn some other things, learn about the touring business, just keep my eyes open. And I just was very, very blessed. I'm going to say blessed to get so many of these gigs.
What was it like working with Dolly?
It was the best.
Yeah.
Just everything was first class, and she is absolutely the way you think of her when the way she presents herself on any TV show or whatever. She's authentic. She was so kind to me. She hung out with my mom and little sister when they came to a gig one time at Soundcheck.
That's cool.
I looked up and their heads were all bobbing together, girls talking. And
Is that the first time they met her?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
she was so kind. I mean, before we went on tour, she brought everybody presents, wrapped up little, like shaving kits, things like that.
That's sweet.
That's just sweet. Yeah. And when she looks at you, you just melt because she's just so full of love. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you what, one other great thing about Dolly, she wound up on that tour. She got sick halfway through the tour and had to go to the hospital, and so they switched the dates around on the tour, and they gave her a sit down gig up, or a couple of them, one of them I think was in not Vegas, what's the one in the East?
Atlantic City?
Atlantic City, yeah, that people go to. So in that time they had to hire the horn players,
vocal,
that. And she hired me as a multi-instrumentalist for sax and harmonica in particular. I did play some keys with her as well and some string parts and stuff, but anyway, she had a whole section of horn players, so they let me go at that point. But she was so cool. She gave me, I think paid me a month or so while she was in the hospital, and then gave me sort of a severance thing of 2 extra months, which was a lot of money.
She's very
especially
generous.
Back in the early days. She was so generous.
She didn't have to do that.
Didn't have to do it. I'll never forget that about her, because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I've lost my gig, And that's just what happens.
Right.
We all know that, except for you.
They come and go, sure.
You've had some of the best success ever with Jason Aldean.
It's just so fun to find somebody.
Fantastic.
It's great to have somebody that has appeal of 15 to 55-year-olds, male and female. It's so hard to find.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like lightning in a bottle.
And I've always loved artists like that. Ray Charles was one of my biggest heroes. And and so was Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
I got to play with him too. But, and he was kind, amazing.
I just think all these people that are around for a long time are there because they are kind. They are sincere.
Yeah.
They are authentic.
Real deal, man.
The talent is, you have to be talented.
Have you worked with people that are on the flip side of that coin? I mean, not to mention names.
Well, yeah, I have. I've worked with some tougher artists where you feel like your paper's about to get stamped. Well, yeah, and you're just kind of walking on eggshells some of the time, but
not fun.
I try not to even go there, even if it sort of exists in the vibe, because I'm all about sit me down at the piano or whatever you want me to play and let me just do it and enjoy it, and just that's where I come to life, is when I'm playing. I just love to play. And if it's for somebody else as a sideman, that's fine. That takes me out of myself and gets me into their world and lets me just focus on what is it that I can do to make them sound better.
You are a true entertainer, Joe. I tell you, man, when I moved here, I was coming from the Dallas market, and I was playing bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs and giant corporate parties and like celebrity weddings, and there's a lot of money in Dallas, and when I came here, I started doing these parties, we played a lot of venues around town, like T-Pack and library openings and corporate parties, and we opened up the CarMax dealership, you and I together.
Right? That's right.
I mean, grand opening, so we were set up in the corner.
Yeah.
But your spirit would always shine. People would always come up to you and love you. What, can I get your card? I want you guys to come back and play again. And something that never happened in Dallas. There would be these uppity kind of like event planners and wedding planners, and they'd be like, the band does not eat or drink, don't even think about it. On a Joe Turley gig, we always ate, we always drank. It was great.
That was always in my contract.
And you're righter. It was, and you looked after the guys, and that just makes such a big difference where you're like schlepping drums in through the, the kitchen and going up to the 60th floor of some building and sweating and playing 4 45-minute sets. It's nice to get some shrimp cocktail.
You know what? It is. And I just, that's one of the things I feel like is important to treat the guys in the band like they're really worthy, really worthwhile.
For sure.
Because they are.
Oh, and I always appreciated that. And, I know you can appreciate this because you're a multi-instrumentalist with you playing sax and keyboards and guitar and harmonica. Our friends at the School of Rock, they're our sponsor. They're our official sponsor of the Rich Redmond Show. And our friends Angie and Kelly McCrate, they have this fantastic School of Rock culture here in Nashville. They have 2 locations, and the kids are always out doing Motown shows and Rush shows and Dream Theater shows and classic rock shows. And there's a Beatles show. And they're really doing great jobs and with just training a whole new generation of musicians from 3 to 18 years old. And they have a program for adults. And there's, we know there's so many benefits of music education. It makes kids smarter. It improves their reading, writing, and arithmetic. It improves their emotional intelligence. And it helps them with their leadership and their setting goals and working in a team. And they just come out, with a higher self-esteem. They walk a foot taller. They look at themselves in the mirror differently. And it just sets them up with life skills. So if there's some people out there that want to get their kids into the School of Rock, there's 2 locations. And you just email my friends Angie and Kelly at Nashville at schoolofrock.com or Franklin at schoolofrock.com. So check out the School of Rock here in Nashville. It's one of the strongest programs out of the 250 School of Rock locations we have.
Kudos on working that into the conversation, Rich. I love that.
That's
a skill.
I'm slick.
You are.
So
that's fantastic.
Love it.
And I love teaching. I've taught
you teach
private lessons, and I've even taught for a couple of little music schools here and there.
What's funny is that my brother, you mentioned boogie woogie before. Were you into boogie woogie piano playing?
My gosh. Well, that was the other thing. That was the other, when I was talking about that Indian song, that was the other thing that got me going when I heard some real boogie woogie piano players.
Like Jerry Lee Lewis kind of stuff?
Well, Jerry Lee Lewis, but even before that, like Pete Johnson and I'll tell you what, Jay McShann. For you listeners out there, let's go find Jay McShann.
Jay McShann.
McShann.
The reason why I bring it up is my brother.
Great player.
It's like there's a lot of he's a piano player, but a lot of his musical influences were very non-orthodox with his upbringing. What do you think he would be into was drastically different than what he was, similar to you. You had all these different offerings coming up in the 60s and 70s, but you tend to you went to something more unorthodox. Does that make sense? So I actually sent you a video of my brother playing Great Balls of Fire. I don't know if you want to play it or anything, but it's
cool.
It's really fun to watch. Yeah,
and Jerry Lee Lewis had that. That's where he learned from those black boogie woogie guys back down in Louisiana and New Orleans. And you think about Professor Longhair and Dr. John later on, who we just lost. Those guys are some of the greatest players, and they combine music just like a gumbo, just like New Orleans does. And there's boogie woogie, there's blues, there's European flavorings in there. There's a lot of island sounds. And calypso kind of sounds.
There's a lot going down in New Orleans there, man. What a melting pot. So when did we lose Dr. John? When was that?
Just a few months ago.
Oh, wow.
4 or 5 months ago. I'm not sure.
Well, this is, in 2006, you released your second record, and it was called Over the Horizon. And this one was more the blues rock, less jump swing. And this is one of the tracks called You Make Me Believe. And maybe we'll do a little bit of Ride With Me as well. And we recorded this, 2006.
feature. But it's your heart, your greatest feature. You make me believe in God. You make me believe in God. You make me believe.
So we just had our friend Duncan Phillips. He's the drummer for the contemporary Christian rock band Newsboys that has been around since like 1985.
Yeah.
So there's a theme going around today on my podcast. Jesus. Jesus, there's a theme. So this is a rock and blues record, and a lot of there's an overtone of this spirituality.
Yeah.
Was that something that was always part of your DNA, or did you have an awakening around this time, or how did that happen?
You know what? I've always been a Christian, and even during my wild days, I never let God go, and I never let Jesus out of the picture, even though he might have been not been too happy with me at some points, like everybody.
Yeah.
But he's a forgiving Lord.
He is, and it's, but you know, he saw that coming. So
yeah, right.
Where's your back?
But it's always been a part of me, and I feel like you don't separate your religion from your life.
Right.
You know, you try and live a godly life, and it's not like I'm going to be out there just preaching to people who don't want to receive it or anything. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, I do try to live my life in with Christian principles, you know, just which, when you think about it, love God with all your heart, love your neighbor as yourself. How can you go wrong?
You keep it simple.
With that,
yeah.
You know?
Amen. That's how Jesus simplified it to the to his followers.
That's right.
And there's this message is just kind of subliminally. I mean, what a great vehicle to spread the message other than music. I mean, it's a great vehicle to have that in there.
The blues, I think, gets you in front of an audience that's probably hasn't maybe heard that message all too much, I would imagine. Maybe
not. Yeah. But you know, a lot of the blues is stolen gospel music and vice versa. Mm-hmm. It's so intertwined, you can't tell which came first sometimes. But I also believe that that's what gives the emotion, or a lot of it, to the music, to both of those kinds, you know. Isn't
it incredible what we've been able to do with popular music in literally just 100 years? So you're coming from, I mean, this is coming from Africa, and then the Caribbean, and then coming up through New Orleans, and then you had field hollers, you know, the workers, you know, in the Civil War, and then the blues, and then the birth of jazz in 1917, and then then the British invasion, and then how we mix this all up, and then we have, you know, hip hop, and then the way these things are all coming together now with hip hop and drum and bass and pop and rock, and then you had this country thing happening, and then hip hop is creeping into
folk music from Appalachia and intertwining with bluesy stuff and country and rockabilly, and it all just, it's America.
Yeah, I had Billy Burnett on.
Did you?
Yeah,
I love him.
Dad basically invented rockabilly.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Yeah.
You know, and his latest record is so great. So we spun some tracks from that.
Yeah.
This is another one of my favorites, Joe, from Over the Horizon. Ride With Me.
Moose Harrell on lead guitar.
Yeah.
Shake loose and take my hand. I can't promise to lead it to no promised land, but I can help you find the road. I'm so tired of going nowhere. Aren't you curious to find out what's over there? Are you gonna sit there, or do you wanna go? Won't you jump into my Mustang? Hit the blacktop and let it roll.
I can hear you having fun playing that song.
Oh. Yeah, you can't help but have fun playing music with Joe Turley. It's just good, just a great spirit.
Thank you
know,
so much.
So we're overdue to do a gig together, I think.
Boy, we are.
We really are.
Yeah.
I just have to have my friend set up my drums because I just bought another car that I cannot move drums in.
I'm sad for you, buddy.
You can do like a cocktail kit or something in that car.
Oh,
right?
totally. Well, no. I mean, guys, I can barely put my luggage in this thing.
It's a Mazda Miata soft top.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah.
It's kind of like another midlife crisis car, you know.
It's a roller skate with an engine.
I know. I don't want to get in an accident in that thing. Whoa!
Oh, God forbid.
And you know, it doesn't look right. I picked it up from the valet at the airport, and it was like covered in snow. And I was like, this does not look right because it's such a California car.
Yeah. No,
It's totally crazy. So, and what about family life? You know, I know your bride, Marie.
Yeah.
And I met her back in the day when we were playing music together 20 years ago. And you've been married a long time, a married music man.
That's right.
I was talking, you know, usually a lot of our guests, we chat about that, like balancing family and the creative arts and the demands of the creative arts, which include travel and inconsistent income and all that kind of stuff. Everyone's doing okay?
Well, yeah, and it kind of ties in back to that theme we were talking about when why did you start playing for other artists? And I made up my mind. It was very, very cognitive decision to say, okay, I got to make a living doing this. So I'm going to try and get my chops together and really, really work and be able to afford being a songwriter in Nashville and go on tour. But then when my family started coming along and when Marie got pregnant, we had been married 13 years.
Wow, you guys really enjoyed each other.
About 10 years off and on. You know.
But that's a nice amount of time to enjoy each other.
We did. We had a ball, and there's a huge practical evidence that God exists for me is finding that girl.
Yeah.
Because she was a result of prayer, for one thing.
She's whip smart.
And she is amazing.
She's a whip smart woman.
We go together so well, 36 years.
It's great. Ugh, my parents are celebrating, wow, look at that whip.
Whip smart.
My parents are celebrating 51 years.
Really?
Yeah.
God bless them, man. That's so cool.
I'm going to see him for Christmas.
Well, it ain't easy. We all know it's hard. I mean, even with the right one, you know, you're going to have times where you
want to kill each other,
butting heads, and you hate each other, and
I've seen it happen because Jim's invites me over, and we'll have a nice bonfire in the backyard, and you know his beautiful bride is amazing.
I'm like, wait a minute, what do you mean you've seen it happen? Do we go down each other's throats when you're over?
You guys will fight, but you guys you can have a nice glass of wine in your hand to cushion the blow.
Well, the thing for us is that you make each other laugh. You kind of marry your best friend, and you make sure that it's
God in the middle of it. You got you've got a reference point.
Yeah,
and you say, okay, you got to forgive each other. You know what? We got to forgive each other on this. And
a lot of marriage these days fail because not enough people, I think, turn a mirror on themselves and say, maybe it's me. Oh, what am I doing?
Absolutely. I know it's me. Like 98% of the time, probably.
Yeah, but your wife thinks the same thing about it. Maybe it's me. Yeah. That's how it works.
And that's right. And that's right. And we have grown together rather than growing apart, even with different careers. But what I was going to say about the music and playing here in town, Rich, is I made a decision once Marie got pregnant, especially. I thought, you know what? I don't want to raise my kid out of town and be a gone father. So God bless Bob Mummert. He got me a gig on the General Jackson here.
Bob Mummert, the drummer.
The drummer.
Yeah, he's a working man around town.
He is. He's a great guy. All these musicians, man. You know, all
Moose.
the people
I haven't seen
albums,
Moose in forever.
Killer guitar player.
Yeah. And remember Ron De La Vega? Is he still around?
Yes, I saw him just the other day.
Wow.
Actually. Great bass player, great guy. You know, all these musicians. Johnny Neal played all the organ on all.
That's right.
Three of my, well, no, not the last one, but the previous two played all the B3 stuff. And who else can I mention that? So Jeff Silbar, my main co-writer.
You grew up with him, right?
I grew up with him. He's the guy that, you know,
he wrote Beaches, right?
For The Wind Beneath My Wings.
For Beaches, for Bette Midler.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a big song.
He co-wrote that with a guy named Larry Henley. But we started off together in high school in our first rock and roll band. And we moved to Nashville together after that.
Yeah, was that called Junction? Was that Junction? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so we lived together. We were roommates here in Nashville, and Jeff just went the business sort of route very together in sort of a planned way to get in the back door of the studios. He started out as a mail clerk at Tree International. It wasn't probably 3 or 4 years later, he was general manager of the Warner Brothers songwriting publishing.
In Los Angeles or here?
Here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now he lives in Los Angeles now, right?
Yeah.
Because there's been a couple of times that I've been out there that I tried to reach out to him. I mean, it's just there's such urban sprawl out there that we weren't able to connect.
Right.
You know,
You gotta do that.
you got to plan.
Yeah, 'cause he's a great guy and a talent. I know he loves your.
Well, it
comment.
would have been 13 years ago that we recorded that. I've got to reach out to him.
Oh yeah.
You know,
that's right.
I really got to do that. But hey, I hate to do this to you guys because this is such an amazing conversation. But we got to pay some bills.
All
so
right.
I'll be right back.
The Rich Redmond Show will be right back.
Learn by doing, I definitely think resonates with what we're about here at the School of Rock. I'm Angie McCrite, and I'm the owner of the School of Rock in Franklin and Nashville. I would say that the majority of kids that come in have either been sitting in their bedrooms watching YouTube, learning how to play, or they've taken music lessons at some point in their life. We do have a lot of beginners. It doesn't matter what level you're at. You can participate in our programs, whether you're a beginner or you're advanced. We don't teach music to put on shows. We put on shows to teach music.
Connect with School of Rock today. Search School of Rock Franklin or Nashville. This is the Rich Redmond Show.
All right, and we are back. Bills are paid. We get to keep the place. Fantastic. We're talking to my good friend Joe Turley, and we're reminiscing about all things music from the last 20 years. We've known each other for 20 years. One of the first people to hire me in Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. So anyway, to continue that story about making a decision to still be a musician and stay in town.
That's difficult.
Right
Keep your head above water.
Yeah.
That was right when I met you, or pretty close to it, maybe within a year or two, probably a couple of years. I decided, okay, I'm going to stay here in town, Lord willing, and put my own band together and play little corporate events and parties, and just have fun with it, and hopefully try and.
Are you still going by Ivory Joe and the Midnight?
Ivory Joe and the Midnight Howlers.
Midnight Howlers.
I just retired that band.
You retired it? So
I
you're
retired it.
Rebranding?
And I am. I'm doing more kind of laid back, trio-oriented, jazzy stuff, which I just did a video, an instrumental video, and a 3 minutes, and then another one with vocals on it on my site.
Well, it travels easier. It's probably easier to book. There's less mouths to feed, and you could still cover that huge range of material, you know. Yeah,
yeah. Although it's part of the reason that I did that was because the musical landscape has changed so much,
right?
And I'm not really changing with it.
Right.
I like to play what I like to play. Not that I won't learn a new song. However, I got to be true to myself, and if I can make a living and play music I love and have integrity with that, then that's what I want to do.
I would imagine there's a lot of people that love listening to that style of music still.
Sure.
And there's a huge audience.
And those are the type of people that are of age to be able to afford a band for a corporate event, which works out great.
Yeah.
It's a fun sound. It's a fun, you enjoy yourself. It's you hear the band in the songs that you played, you just hear the band having fun playing. It's a tight sound. I remember going to a blues bar in Connecticut called Blues Alley. And it was just a fun night.
Yeah.
Such a nice, refreshing break from the norm.
Well, that's a huge part of our job.
Yeah.
You know, we are, in my, sort of my perspective of things, musicians are here to help people get over their daily drudgery of life and give them some joy and give them some. It doesn't have to all be happy and upbeat and frantic or anything. It can be energy. It can be helping to supply fun. It can be giving them a slow blues song that just tears them up.
Yeah.
You know?
It's about the listener.
Yeah, that's right.
And giving them things that they can relate to and reminding people of our humanity and that we're not alone in our daily, struggles. It's really interesting.
Service.
It's really
bringing a service to people.
We are providing a
giving
service.
them love, basically.
Yeah. spreading love, which is one of our purposes. And, you know, my purpose in life is, I don't know if you've boiled yours down into like a statement, but I almost have like a mission statement. My purpose in life is to affect people in a positive way and change lives. So I know that's why I do what I do. So when I play music or I teach music, I'm right in line with my purpose, right? So
absolutely.
It's really interesting that the things we can, I just did a speech on happiness called Happiness Rocks. And I just did it at Stanford University. And one of the things that I would like to tell people is that I personally can see God in two things, nature and in music. And when we listen to music, it reminds us of our humanity. So if I listen to a song like, say, by the great Jeff Buckley, who covered Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. Yeah. So there's listeners out there and they want to look up Jeff Buckley, who died tragically at 27 years old, just like Mama Cass, just like Jimi Hendrix. He had this version of this song called Hallelujah. And I don't know why, every time, no matter what mood I'm in, I will cry tears of happiness. I don't know what the emotion is, but it shows me my emotion.
Yeah.
Can you pull it up? Which version?
It connects you to.
Oh man, hopefully, yeah.
Is it that? Da, 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 da?
Yeah, it's Jeff Buckley. And it's just, you know, one time I was dating this girl and I pulled it up and I had the candles burning and it was a romantic evening and I had the wine out and she goes, "Are you crying?" I played this song and I was like, "I am so sorry. I just..."
I love that. Being real.
He had a really haunting voice and died too young. He sets it up. It takes a while.
That's the version I'm thinking about.
It's beautiful.
It gets Courtney every time too. Mainly, this is really going to hit you in the feels.
Well, I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall and the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
It just feels good.
Haunting.
It's haunting. Yeah.
Courtney gets very emotional about that song because of the Sandy Hook event.
Was that associated with it somehow? Or
Saturday Night Live? It was somewhere. It was The Voice, I think, when Blake Shelton and everybody sang it in honor of what happened at Sandy Hook.
Oh, wow.
And it was just powerful.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of pretty deep connections to that event in the first place. So, because it happened one town over from where we grew up.
Oh, really?
We knew somebody that was involved. And at the time it happened, it hit us hard because our children are of the same age. And it's like, you know, it's just, you know, it was awful.
yeah.
You know?
Is there something that you can go to, like musically, that you just, like, you find this song that you keep going to it over and over throughout the course of your life? Is it a Ray Charles song? Or?
Actually, I'll tell you, there is a song called "There Must Be a Reason," and I'm going blank about that. Fantastic. Alison Krauss sings it.
Yeah.
There is a reason. And that's just, it just does it to me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have him play it at my funeral, along with a bunch of happy stuff too.
We'll put that in the show notes for sure. Wow.
Yeah, but there is a reason. That's a killer song. That's one of my favorites.
You know what song does it for me? And you know, the songs that you try to sing along with that you can't get through because you get choked up.
Yeah,
Which one is that for you?
Would be one. Yeah.
Moments by Emerson Drive. I know you're gonna laugh.
Wow.
I mean, I'm friends with those guys.
I know,
That's crazy.
but it's a good song. I don't know why he does it.
Wow.
It's a powerful song for me.
Moments. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you discover that when it was on the radio, 15 years ago? No, that's not even funny, man. I just like.
Are you making fun? You are
no,
making fun
no,
of
because I know those guys well. We toured with them in Rushlow. We did tons of shows together.
That song came out probably in 2007, I think. Yeah. So 12 years ago. No, it's just, they had a strong connection to me because of Good Man that they released, which was one of their bigger hits. Mm-hmm. It was right around when my father died. So I did a tribute video, like a memorial video using that song. And I think their manager or somebody reached out to me via YouTube and said, "Oh my gosh, this is what we should have done for the video kind of message." Right. It was just very personal home video kind of footage along with He Was a Good Man. Mm-hmm. So I kind of get introduced to them. And then they've released Moments. I mean, it was just good. I don't know. It just affected me.
Well, it plays right into that hand of the dynamics of the purpose of music,
sure,
and how it's a healing thing, and it's got to move you.
Can you imagine life without music?
No.
Oh,
what a bummer!
What would we do?
Just that magic of it is just incredible.
And plus, we wouldn't have jobs. That's God, guys.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah. You know who I saw last night? You'll get a kick out of this. I think we recorded your latest record either 1 year ago or 2 years ago. It was 1 year ago. Yeah. I saw Victor Broden, the bass player.
Oh, good.
So Victor was in town because he was playing in this. Basically, Jason's label has a big party. The label that Jason is on, all the artists on that label played a short set last night at the Cambria Hotel, and Victor's in the house band that backs up all the artists. So, I got to kind of hug him. It was such a crazy mess of humanity over there, just tons of people in a sweaty little bar. But I gave him a hug, but we played on this record for you, and now this record, which is not officially released, but if you go to joeturley.com and you check out Eyes on You, you can download these songs for $1 a piece.
That's right.
And it is worth every penny. But here's a little bit of a song called Right Here, Right Now. Just those tickling those Ivory Joe. Ivory Joe.
Oh, little by little we're getting a little better. Step by step we're making it over the hill. If we let the spirit move us, all we gotta do is choose to do his will. Living life in the moment, oh such freedom. The past is past and the future's anybody's guess. The sun is shining if we will receive him. Now's the time for us to all get blessed. Right here.
Vicky Carrico.
That's Vicky, my next door neighbor on vocals.
Provided every need right here, right now. If we can just let go, believe he's in control. Open up, he's knocking at your door. Right here, right now.
Woo! Man. Yeah, so that's Vicky on background vocals from Kentucky Thunder.
And I think maybe there may be a bit of Marie in there too. She sings vocals on all my other albums, but Vicky did the main stuff on this one. Mm-hmm. Her voice was just right for these particular parts.
So great. It's just happy music. It's just joyous music. You're really onto something, Joe. You know
really
what Jim, I want to connect Joe with our friend Michael Elsner, who was in, I think, episode 4 or 5 of our podcast.
He was early.
So Michael Elsner, you got his book, right?
You know what? I bought the course.
The course.
And I can recommend that course to all your listeners very highly. It's given me hope that there's another way to monetize your music.
Yeah,
seriously,
it's a good guide to getting your music heard for people in TV and film.
Yeah,
because these would all be great on television shows, opening credits, closing credits of films.
Well, I'm doing the work.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's not just a skip in the park. You don't just turn it in and say, okay, that's all there is to it. But his course is amazing. Yeah. He shows you what he knows, basically. And he knows a lot. He's been in that business and he's successful with it. So I felt like it was a really good investment.
I'm glad.
And I recommend him. And I met him at your birthday party.
Yeah, I'm really glad.
We had a great conversation.
This is another one of my purposes in life. I feel like
you're a connector.
I'm a connector. I love bringing people together so they can connect and communicate and collaborate and help change each other's lives. I mean, that one right there, to get the metadata on that, you would have to say positive, spunky, upbeat. You would have to describe the song and the feel of it. Yeah. So film and TV people and music supervisor could go, I need positive, happy, upbeat, up tempo.
Yeah. And then you get he'll teach you in that course, you get really deep with the descriptions because you want to filter it down.
Very specific. Yeah. Because upbeat can be a lot of things. A lot of things. This is a fun public forum, and our audience is growing. Joe, is there another message you kind of want to get out there to the masses? Anything that's coming up for you? What's next? What can we count on from you? What's the plan, man?
Oh gosh, I am just loving life.
Yeah,
you
always have.
I gotta say that put in my plug for God and Jesus and all that spiritual part of things, because without that, I couldn't have the joy that I have, because you just can't explain that stuff. It's kind of like music, but try to get close to God, because if you do, He'll get close to you. That's a promise. And the rest will fall into place. That's maybe the summary of things, because we all have our talents that He's given us. And like my father, who's written 3 books, by the way, and I'm very proud of him. But what are
those books about?
One of them is called "The Choices Are Yours," and he wrote that for the grandkids to help them make decisions.
Wow,
he's a very successful attorney and amazing man, sort of a philanthropist, and worked with Shriners Hospitals for 40, 50 years, something like that, doing all their legal work. And everything. But then he has a book called The Rule of Law and Its Unintended Consequences. And he has
your decisions.
That's just basically about how law in the United States is.
Gotcha.
It's a law book, but it's really practical. In depth. And the other one is called The Bridge to Faith, and that's sort of his testimony of how to get to God, because he's a real strong believer as well. But that's the thing, is he would always say, look, God gives you talents and abilities, and how do you know what your purpose is? You find it through the opportunities that come along, and you sort of marry that with your talents and abilities, and you'll fall right into your purpose
while you can.
Yeah.
Amen.
So,
what did you learn?
That is a good amen. That's a very amen worthy. Yeah, and we were talking about purpose. I love that. I love the idea that if you start with faith, you'll find your purpose. And Joe's purpose is to use his interests in life, which is music making, to change people's lives. And I've seen it happen, and I've been part of it. And I think it's so awesome to be part of your legacy, because when we're gone, these records will still be here, and you'll be bringing people joy. So
legacy.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Rich. You're a big part of it, and your spirit pops through on all 3 of those records.
I appreciate
it. Really does.
Yeah, it does.
So fun. What did you learn, Jim?
I'm amazed at how culture always kind of finds its way into these episodes, like, talking about who you played with and the people that you remember and the times that you remember. I certainly remember the good employers I've had and the bad ones. Diversification and monetization of your talents is important. Creating multiple streams of income, but above all, serving the listener.
Serving the listener.
That's a good one. Yeah. That's a good one.
Be them centric.
Well, hopefully we're doing that here on the Rich Redmond Show.
Well, yeah. And, we're all human beings. We grow up very, very egocentric.
Yeah.
And in the music business, if you stick around long enough, you'll get humbled.
Yeah.
Humility will come your way if you take it the right way, And, and man, I'm glad, really, when I look behind me, I'm really glad that when I was 22, 23 years old, I wasn't some big rock star, because that would have been a nightmare.
Yeah. Wouldn't have been ready for
And
it.
it wouldn't have been ready. I wouldn't have the ability and the understanding about how important just basic kindness to everybody is. And I still need to work on a lot of stuff. But
oh my God, we all do. And I think we're in an industry that is so in the entertainment industry. If you're part of any facet of the industry, it is so me, because it's just part of the fabric of it, because our product is us.
Yeah.
And so we're always talking about us and promoting us and trying to convince people to hire us.
Right.
And so that's why it's really good to try to do some sort of community service or work at a soup kitchen, or our friend Duncan Phillips goes and helps build homes in Tijuana. You know, the closest I kind of come to do it is I just try to mentor anyone that shows interest. I try to mentor them, and teaching is a very important part of my life. Even though, yes, sometimes I am gifted with, financial means for teaching. It just seems really important to do.
You buy a lot of coffee.
I do buy a lot of coffee.
Hey, well, there's no bad thing about being able to make some money and do your purpose.
Sure.
And if your purpose is serving, then you're doing the right stuff.
Sure.
And we all need to live. Even back in the old biblical days, God made sure all the musicians were paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll provide.
There's that guy playing the finger cymbals. Ding, ding, ding.
Give that guy an extra 20, would you?
Right.
You're a killer finger cymbal player. Good job on the lute, kid.
Yeah.
Or the band on the Titanic. They kept on playing.
Oh, God, they kept playing till the end.
Yeah.
Oh, that kind of...
But you understand why they did it.
I cry on that part.
Yeah. To keep the people calm.
Whew, that would not be a good way to
Serving the
go.
people.
Freezing water.
Ugh.
Oh, my God.
Not good, guys.
You ever go to the museum in Pigeon Forge and all, the Titanic Museum, and
No.
you put your hand in the water? The actual temperature of the
Oh,
water?
really?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, Lord.
Whoa.
I can't do it more than 10
Crazy.
seconds.
Talk about shrinkage. Sorry, that's worth it. That's worth that. Well, this was very, very fun and very eye-opening. It was an awesome trip down memory lane. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thanks for having me,
We are
buddy.
so overdue for getting together and playing, and I hope everyone goes to joeturley.com and Joe Turley on Spotify and enjoys your music.
Thank you.
Guys, as always, thank you so much for tuning in here. Please tell a friend. It's very important. Just go to Apple Podcasts or your favorite platform and give us a rating. Leave a review. It only takes 1 minute, and it allows people to find the podcast much, much faster. As always, thank you to our friends, the School of Rock here in Nashville. That's Nashville at schoolofrock.com or Franklin at schoolofrock.com. And keep coming back for the good stuff. We'll keep giving it to you. Thanks. We'll see you next time.
This has been The Rich Redmond Show. Subscribe, rate, and follow along at richredmond.com/podcasts.